So I'm just launching Premiere Pro CC. This is the Creative Cloud version of Premiere Pro. I'm using the 2017 release. It's the latest one as at February 2017. So when I started, I get this welcome window, and the first thing I want to do is just click on New Project and create a project. A project is where you're going to do all your editing. So I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to give this a name here. I'm just going to call this like Day Out in London. I can click on Browse here. By the way, it doesn't matter whether this is PC or Mac. If I click on Browse, I just go to save wherever I like, and if it was on Windows, I would see the usual Windows kind of style of formatting here to actually save my files. So I'm in a projects folder. I'm just going to click on Choose. That's set it there. I'm not really going to touch anything here, mainly because these are the default settings and they seem to work fine, and perhaps we'll take a look at that a bit later. Down here with the capture format doesn't really matter. You've got HDV, DV, Blackmagic Capture, because I have a Blackmagic Capture card in here. And really what I want to do is just leave that alone, because I'm not going to be capturing, I'm going to be importing files that I've already got, which is the way we kind of really work more and more, I guess, with digital files. So I'm going to click on OK, and that's going to bring up my workspace, and by default it's going to go into my editing workspace here. And if this is the first time you've used it, it should look something like this, and if you haven't messed around with the workspace, it should look like this. If it doesn't, go to Window, Workspaces, I'm on Editing here, and just reset to saved layout. So there's a few things to show you here, like over here, this is where you're going to be looking at your source clips over on the top left-hand side. Program is kind of like what's going out, so you're working kind of from left to right, what's coming in with your source clips and what's going out. And this is where you preview both of them, and you can do effects and things like that. Down at the bottom, more or less, this is where I'm going to put my media. So that's where I import it all. So that's where I put all my clips, and they can be video, they can be images, they can be audio clips, animation, all sorts of things like that. And we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. So over here, I can actually go and have a look. This is where I can see things like effects. So this is where I would find things like transitions. So I can actually see those over here. But first things first, I need to go back to my project. I need to import something into here. Now, to do that, there's a few ways you can do it. You can go into File, and you can choose Import. And if you click on that, you're going to get the same thing as if I right-click over here, or if you've got a Mac, you might hold down Control and click if you haven't got the right mouse button set up. And again, you see Import just there. The other little thing you can do is just double-click in this space. And if I do, it brings up my import window. Now, as I said, it doesn't matter whether it's a PC or a Mac, as long as you know where your files are, you basically just go to where your files are. And over here, I know that I've got them in a folder called Video Editing, and you can see I've actually broken them down into audio, images, and video. And I'm just going to choose the video one, and I'm not going to choose all of them just yet, because I'm going to show you the different ways of importing this to make your life a little bit easier. So basically, all you have to do is select the one you want. You can hold down Control if you're on a PC, or Command on a Mac, and choose different ones here. And then you just click on Import. And you'll see in a moment, it's got to process them. They will import over here. Really importantly, you need to have copied your files off the camera onto a hard drive or onto the computer. Don't import them from the card itself, because when you wipe the card, it gets rid of all these clips. It doesn't import it like some other programs such as Final Cut Pro. So here are my clips here, and you can see immediately that the more I add in here, this could potentially get quite messy. So what I'm going to do is put them into bins. That's the name that we give them. They're kind of like folders within Premiere Pro. And to do that, I'm going to go into File, I'm going to choose New, and you can see I've got one here that says Bin. And if I click on that, I now get what looks like a folder here, and I'm going to call this one British library, you'll see that this is going to make your life a lot easier. So there is my British library. As I pressed enter, it took me back up to the top of my clips here. So what I'm going to do is I can just now, I've already imported some of these, click and drag to drop those ones in. And I'm just going to click and drag this a bit further down into there. If you double click on it, it opens up in a separate window, and there they are, and you could then drag them from here as well. This isn't the British Library, but let's just drag it in anyway so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to close that. So down here in the British Library folder, I can now open it. Let's double click on it again. I can right click, or I could double click, and I could now choose more clips to add in here. So I'm going to add in these here. And what I did is I clicked on the first one, held down the shift key and clicked on the next, and it selects all of those in between. Click on import, and now they're going to go directly into the bin. Okay, one more way of doing it. Let's just close that. I don't actually have to open the bin. If I right click on it and choose import and then choose these ones. So once again, click on the first one, hold down the shift key, click on the next one. I could then hold down Control or Command depending on whether I'm on PC or on a Mac, and choose another one as well and click on import. If I double click, those ones have got in there as well. You will have seen them. They were octagon 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and there was another one there as well. You can change the size of how they look here, so you can down in the bottom left hand corner just click and drag to make them bigger and smaller. You can also make them look like a list down here, or I could make them into an icon view. Entirely up to you how you want to work. Bigger screen you've got, the better for this. Those same features are down here for making it into a list, which you might find more practical. And again, you can zoom in and out like that. So that's my one bin, and that's my video one, and it tells me I've got 16 items in there. I've got some images as well that I might want to add in. So what I'm going to do is, rather than go through the menu, down at the bottom here it says new bin, and if I click on that, it just pops one in. So it's something that you do often. Sorry, I said images, didn't I? So I'm going to choose images, and when I now double click on it, you'll see there's nothing in there. And once again, I can double click. I can go back to here, choose images. Actually, maybe I'll go somewhere else and find something more interesting than those. Okay, so here's a little gallery. Let's just choose a few here and just import those in. So I've got these images, so you can see I can put those in. I'm going to create another bin. I just need to click off of that, click here, create one for audio. This time I'm just going to right click, choose import, and let's go to my audio, and there's a backing track, and when I click on import, it's going to bring it in. You'll see it now says one item there. So as you can see, I've now got all of them stored in bins here. I might have some that aren't in a bin, but personally I find this a really neat way to work. Next, I'm going to show you how to take these clips and put them into a sequence to create a timeline.